It was exactly 10 a.m. on a scorching Thursday in Scottsdale, Arizona. The heat outside shimmered like fire against the pavement, and even inside the massive glass atrium of Crestmont Corporate Tower, the air held that heavy scent of money, polished wood, crisp leather, and cologne priced high enough to whisper power. Naomi Jennings stood tall in the lobby, her heels clicking softly against the marble as she scanned the space with composed, steady eyes. She had practiced for this day, rehearsed every line, every answer, every pivot of strategy in the mirror. She'd tailored her suit with precision, chosen a shade of lipstick that exuded confidence but not arrogance. She was ready, but the silence that stretched inside the gleaming lobby told a different story. The room buzzed with quiet conversations, phones ringing at intervals, suits brushing past, names called, and meetings welcomed. None of those names were hers. She was the only one left waiting. Men, white men in crisp suits and shining shoes, had come and gone. Each one greeted with easy familiarity, nods from the receptionist, firm handshakes from behind the frosted glass doors. And Naomi, the only black woman in the lobby, was an afterthought, invisible to everyone around her. The receptionist didn't even look her way. A young woman, no older than 22, chewing pink gum with languid boredom, her nails a perfect shade of artificial nude. Naomi tried to keep her posture composed, her breathing calm. She glanced up at the ornate gold clock mounted above the desk. Over an hour had passed. At first, she'd brushed it off. Corporate people get busy. Schedules shift. Delays happen. But there was something else here. Something deeper. The kind of thing Naomi knew too well. The invisible force that settled over rooms where she didn't quite belong in the eyes of those who decided such things. The cold indifference, the subtle dismissal, not loud enough to call out directly, but sharp enough to slice through resolve like paper cuts. The receptionist had smiled at two men who walked in after her, smiled, and stood to greet them. Coffee? Meeting with Mr. Ellison? Yes, go right ahead. She hadn't even looked up when Naomi walked through those same glass doors, hadn't asked her name or who she was there to see. Naomi clutched the leather portfolio in her lap, her fingers tapping it once. Twice. She adjusted her skirt. It felt tighter now, constricting, though it had fit perfectly when she left her apartment that morning. After another 10 minutes, she stood up, heels firm on the tile, voice controlled but undeniably cool. "Excuse me," she said as she approached the desk. "Could you please check if Mr. Ellison is available? I've been waiting for quite a while." The receptionist barely looked up. "He's on a call," she said flatly. "He'll be right with you." Naomi nodded. "Thank you," she said quietly, the words clipped with restraint. She sat back down. But the damage had been done. Not to her, but to the illusion she'd tried to preserve. This wasn't about a delayed meeting anymore. It was about a pattern. A wound reopened. She had done everything right, earned every degree, mastered every challenge. But still, here she was. Still waiting. Still unseen. Then the elevator dinged. A group of executives spilled into the lobby, laughing, commanding attention with their presence. At the center of the group was Craig Ellison, the very man she had been waiting to meet. The receptionist practically leapt from her chair. "Good morning, Mr. Ellison. Gentlemen, can I get you coffee?" Naomi watched it all. The ease, the smiles, the power of being expected. Craig walked past her without a glance, engrossed in a conversation with a silver-haired man carrying a slim tablet. Naomi stood. She didn't wait this time. Her heels clicked sharply as she crossed the lobby. She stopped at the desk once again. Her tone was clear. "Is Mr. Ellison still busy?" The receptionist blinked at her, the color draining from her face. I think he's free now," she stammered. This time, Naomi didn't move. She let the silence hang. She didn't smile. She didn't soften the moment. Craig must have sensed the shift, because he finally turned around. His eyes landed on her, and his face tightened. "Naomi," he said, too loud, too fast. "I'm so sorry, I didn't realize." She interrupted him, voice firm and steady. 2 hours is a long time not to realize, Mr. Ellison." A hush swept across the room. The other executives turned their heads. Conversation stopped. Phones were lowered. "I really am sorry," Craig tried again. "We had some unexpected—" "Don't," Naomi said flatly. "Don't make excuses. You were busy taking meetings. I was sitting here, waiting. How long would I have sat there if those men hadn't walked in?" Craig's expression flickered. He glanced across the room. where Martin Langston, the CEO of Crestmont Holdings, had just entered. Next to him stood Sandra Lowell, the Senior Director of Finance. Naomi turned to them instead. She wasn't here for Craig anymore. Naomi. Sandra stepped forward, brow furrowed. I didn't know you were here today. I had a meeting scheduled, Naomi replied. Her tone was even, but her eyes were sharp. Martin joined them, hands clasped in front of him. We've seen your portfolio. Your work is exactly what we've been looking for. Naomi blinked, not in disbelief, but in measured curiosity. Sandra smiled, an honest smile this time. We're starting a new leadership development initiative, she said. And we believe you'd be the right person to help lead it. Not just participate, lead. Naomi didn't respond immediately. She let the words settle. Behind her, Craig stood frozen. The room he had so easily dominated minutes ago now pulsed with tension. He didn't know it yet, but his grip on this place was slipping. Naomi nodded slowly. I'd be happy to hear more. Sandra gestured toward the hallway. Shall we? As Naomi walked away from the front desk, portfolio in hand, something inside her shifted. Not because she had won anything, but because she had decided long ago that she would not leave rooms just because others didn't see her. She would stay and be seen. Later that week, the formal offer arrived. Executive Development Lead for the Crestmont NextGen program. It was more than a title. It was a signal that things were changing, and she would help change them. Craig Ellison was quietly removed weeks later. No announcement, just a silent rearrangement of authority. Whispers had started almost immediately after that morning, about his favoritism, his selective professionalism, his tendency to dismiss candidates who didn't look like him. Naomi didn't gloat. She didn't need to, because this was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming space, about knowing your worth in a world that sometimes insists you wait forever just to be seen. She didn't prove anything to Craig that day. She proved it to herself, that her voice had weight, that her time had value, that her story mattered. And the next time a woman like her sat in that lobby, the silence wouldn't last as long, because Naomi had already broken it. And in doing so, she opened the door just wide enough for the next one to walk through, without apology.